Hey guys, welcome back to some Gilded Guardians. In today's video, we're going to be sharing the free-to-play comp that is currently the best that we have in this game. It is meta, and it was shared over on Discord from Dark Noob Master Pro. If you've hopped over in Discord, if you haven't, definitely join us over there. But I want to look at the best and really the meta team that we're seeing right now. So to run through this, I'm going to show you a couple Guardians over here. Unfortunately, some of these we do have, some of these we don't have at this point. But starting off, and again, this is free to play. So when you think of the heroes and the free to play aspect, when you're looking at a tank, Tuskgrog is the absolute number one. Again, looking at the meta comp that we have, this is the tank that you want. Now, the reason being a couple different, number one, tank, and of course, survivability. When you start looking at these abilities in here, and of course, you have crowd control. When you look at the survivability of your heroes, if the enemy is stunned, if the enemy is crowd controlled, going to make a really big difference because you're not going to be taking any damage. And of course, you're going to be able to lock them down. Now, the ultimate ability, you'll see a pack of wolf spirits charge through, putting a stun out there for 2 seconds. And then, of course, he summons an ice shield, which can act as physical defense, reducing the defense by 20%, allowing your enemies or essentially your team to do a lot more damage to the enemies because there is going to be a physical damage reduction. And the last one in here is a wolf companion. So you'll actually see when you're using him in battle, it summons a wolf companion. We also see the wolf companion that does get attacked, that can be killed because it does get a couple stats that he does possess, making him really, really strong. Now, when it comes to the tanking role in general, and you start looking at some of the other heroes, you even start getting into some of our legendary heroes. Unfortunately, when it comes to the tanking role, that is really the only one. I've went through and I've used a lot of different tanks. And of course, like I had said earlier, this is when you're looking at free to play. When you start looking at Cyrus, when you start looking at a couple of the additional tanks, these are tanks that most of them you have to buy if they're founders, if they're early. But I used Grind for actually a considerable amount of time. Once I got Tuskgrog, he was really the replacement for Grind, and that was the one that I ran when I just started in the game. And as you can see, since then we actually picked out Cyrus, which works super, super well. Now, the second one we're going to look at, I actually do have a copy of. I do have to adjust when we're looking at how we're breaking out the heroes. The other ones that we're looking at, number one, and of course, damage-wise, is Palmyra. Now, this is one that you have, and this slot is really the flexibility. So when you think of this, a lot of players do run a tank. So if you're running that Tuskgrog, if you're running him together, a lot of players will run a warrior as an off-spec, will run possibly another tank, depending on the formation. But the warrior role is kind of the off-tank. So if you're familiar with RPGs, if you're familiar with a lot of different games, this is actually going to be a very, very strong off-tank. And again, the reason for this one is you can see removing all enemy attack speed buffs, really good. Removing the movement speed in there. And then there is, of course, a little bit more balance. Targets a random hero, reducing their attack speed. Again, that feeds directly into the survivability of your heroes, meaning that one, if they're stunned, two, if you're nerfing out their attack speed, going to make a really big difference. And then the Armor of Ice, every 20 seconds gains the ability to negate a single negative effect. So pretty good there, which again, this role itself, this one, a lot of people do run Ashwin in here. A lot of players do run a few different heroes in here. And ultimately, again, when you're thinking of the free-to-play meta that was shared over on Discord, this is the hero that they were actually running. Now, when we start looking at one of the absolute most broken heroes in the game, and a lot of players have commented, guys, this is the broken hero. Derizda, this is the broken hero. Now, they did nerf her a little bit. A lot of players have said that nerf had absolutely no effect really on her. And they also said that for PvP, this is the hero that is just completely broken. And we're going to go over the reason a little bit and why you need the gear that is on this hero. And I'm going to show you. So the big thing with here is linear assault. This is really the big one that they kind of focus on. Basic attacks penetrate enemies and deal 105% of attack damage as physical damage. Penetrates enemies, meaning that the defense really doesn't make a big difference. This hero with very, very high crit can just burn through a ton of enemies really fast. Now, one of the tricks that players are running in here is if you look, this hero actually does have all three of these abilities. So they are not building out or not to the point of getting another ability. So you can see this unlocks at level 10, but they're not actually getting the Aquasphere ability. So they are keeping just the trick shot in the linear assault unlocked. The rest of these, of course, you have to use scrolls to level up. They are not using scrolls to level up, which I'll show you kind of what I mean. If we drop, oh, I don't have any scrolls in here. But if you get, when you get to level 10, the ability unlocks. You do have to level up the ability. They are just go ahead and getting rid of the aquasphere. Without the aquasphere in there, linear assault just happens a lot more often, which again is kind of a cheese way to do this. Now, of course, that comes in conjunction with the hero right here. Aquarius is a hero that offers immunity, which again is the really, really big thing here. Makes the lowest HP invincible for 5 seconds and increasing their attack rating by 50%. So this is massive, especially the invincibility aspect, because if your tanks don't have the attack reduction, if they don't have the crowd control, this can actually give them that invincibility. Where they would take fatal damage, she will keep them alive. Then, of course, the water sprite. This is the healing thing that you want. If there is overhealing, it is going to be converted as a shield, which is awesome, meaning that for your back line, for a lot of different heroes, maybe if they're not taking damage, if they do get a little bit of a heal, or if they do get affected by this because they do take some damage, overhealing is going to be shielding. It's not going to be lost. And then, of course, increasing the straight up defense means that your tanks, your warriors are going to be a lot stronger, not taking as much damage because the defense is going to be really amped up. Now, again, when we look at the Imperial Ranger right here, when you look at this hero as the best in slot free-to-play hero, the other one they put it with is Grizel. Now, one thing to note with Grizel, or a couple things really, is the ghost ability. So the ghost ability is going to allow your heroes to ultimate much faster. But with Grizel, you have the menacing glance, you have the hide and seek. Both of those are going to be crowd control, and then you combine it with your tank that's providing crowd control, Psychic Link, which is a passive, which is actually going to give you some HP recovery. And then, of course, Ghost is the big one, meaning that if Ghost is following I can't say the name, Derizda, Trick Shot is going to be triggered over and over and over again, because of course Grizel is going to buff her with Trick Shot, meaning that Grizel is actually going to give her a lot more damage through this Trick Shot, through the essentially the replacement of the ultimate ability. Now, one thing to note with that is that this hero has to be the strongest hero, period. I had some issues with this. I had some issues with Grizel being able to go through here and actually have, you know, my hero as the strongest one that I wanted, making sure that Leo was the strongest one out of here. But overall, this is the one. Now, two things to note with this is the gear that comes with this hero. So I'm going to show you in the shop, really the two things you need. And there, it is very, very specific when it comes to what you need in the Endless Store. Epic gear, you do need this piece right here. Now, this is the powerful Guardian gear, and you are looking for one very specific one in here, which is linear assault. Has a crit rating, crit percent increased by 30%. That is what you are looking out of this item, and that is the only one you're looking at. Now, when you look at the legendary gear, when you look at the epic gear, when you look at buying it out of here, with her, you're going to have a 1 in 3 shot to get that specific buff that is going to appear on the epic gear, which of course is going to give you a crit percent increase by 30%, which again, through the combination of gear, through the combination of the heroes, getting that 30% buff out here means that she is going to be really doing a ton of crit. And then, of course, when we look at the endless gear, the legendary gear right here, it is going to be the same with Grizel's amulet. So the one you're looking for here, transferred energy, also increases the allies' attack by 50%. So as you can see, the combination of the heroes, how they would kind of go together is pretty broken in here. And just thinking, kind of showing you in the formation with the few that I have, kind of what it looks like. Let's hop in arena. And I'll kind of show you, I'm not going to save the team, but I'll show you kind of what I mean for these heroes itself. So looking at the team in here, we'll go ahead, we'll change it up with some of the heroes that we have. And I want you to understand how, or really how this is going to look. So looking at the few heroes we have in here, we'll drop Grizel in here, we'll drop these heroes. And of course, we don't have the tank as of right now, but looking at this formation. So this is kind of what your formation would look like, is the front row would essentially be, and I would probably put her in the middle. So essentially what you're going to have in here, and I know I say the word a lot, is you're going to have Tuskrog right here in front. That is going to be your tank. Is going to be one of these two positions, depending on who the off tank or who your warrior is going to be. Again, Palmero does work incredibly well within this formation. And then of course, Aquarius is back here. We have our Assassin right here. We have Grizel right here. So when we start a battle, Grizel is actually going to follow the hero right here. Now, if Grizel has that item, you're going to see a 50% attack rating boost on Desira when essentially you're linked together when they give the energy. So she will automatically follow the hero. She will automatically give the boost on there. Then, of course, the artifact or the exclusive item that you have on our Ranger hero in there is going to give her a 30% boost to crit, which means a 50%, again, attack boost increase. And then, of course, the crit boost increase, which is going to be massive, allowing her to literally burn down anyone that is in the formations. PvP-wise, endless mode, a lot of different formations. This is the broken formation. And again, this is the best in slot. This is the meta formation that we have seen is running this comp right here. And of course, this is free to play, guys. This is the free to play comp that you should be running as of right now. Once we get new heroes, once you start getting them built up a little bit further, but this is ideally the one that we want to see and the one that you should be running right now. And again, a big shout over to Discord to the Dark New Master Pro for sharing this formation and the items that it really requires. This is a team where you can literally get the 5 heroes that are in these formations, spend a lot of your resources to build them up again as a free-to-play player. Going through there, you can actually make, and a lot of free-to-play players have actually, through the last 4 weeks of leaderboards, have gotten some Guild of Guardian tokens, some Ascension seals. We have seen them actually progress incredibly well through the game, which goes back to the play-to-earn aspect that this game does possess. But all right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.